Hey! Welcome to Inspiration Station, where we build a sanctuary for your creative spark together. I'm Karina Pardis, a composer, activist, chocoholic, and self-care mom. I'm so glad you're here. This is a place for you whenever you need encouragement or a reminder to believe in you. Today I am so excited to talk about gratitude. This is often a topic only shared during various holidays or in times of sorrow, and rarely in connection to creativity. But gratitude has a powerful impact on our capacity to create. C.S. Lewis said, "Gratitude looks to the past and love to the present." I want to suggest to you that having gratitude plus love equals a wholehearted life. It's us being able to live fully integrated with our past and our present, looking forward to our future with a lens of gratitude and love instead of fear or anxiety. Not that gratitude and love completely takes away those things. They're human emotions. They are a normal thing for us. But if we could choose, I would choose gratitude and love to look forward to the future with. And this is all possible. I want to talk about what this has to do with creativity. Robert Holden said, "The real gift of gratitude is that the more grateful you are, the more present you become." There is an enormous need for presence in creating. If we are trying to engage in our creativity practice and we're constantly getting distracted or pulled out of what we are currently doing in the now, either because thoughts about things that we haven't done yet come up, or because we're worried about something in the future, or we're remembering something from the past, or a little kid comes in and asks for the 20th time for a drink of water. All of these things can happen. And being able to have a ritual of gratitude that can bring us back to the present moment, to what I am doing right now, the faster we can get back into our zone of creativity. This can be super helpful during any time of distraction, or even when we're not creating, but we need a moment of peace. We have the power to have that peace inside of us at any moment, and the key is gratitude. Harper Nichols said, "Gratitude is the quality of being able to see the light in the little things." A lot of times, I think, when we think about gratitude, it's this big, grandiose event. I am showing gratitude, and it's very dramatic. But gratitude doesn't have to be big and bombastic in order to make a difference in how we are perceiving our life and the way that we are engaging with it. What's a little thing to you might be a big thing for me, and vice versa. There's really no qualification other than what we are able to notice. When we increase our awareness of the things that are happening around us, then we will be able to fine-tune our ability to notice the little things that just uplift us, and then take a pause and recognize why that uplifted you, and what that means to you, and how nice that was. And just expressing gratitude inside yourself. Little bits of gratitude can nourish our soul for a long time. Some of those little things could be what the sun and clouds look like outside. I love clouds, and so when I notice really pretty clouds, it's the best. I also love crunchy leaves during the fall time. If you step on a leaf and it's not crunchy, it's slightly disappointing. But when you step on it and it's like the perfect crunch, that is a small moment of gratitude for me. It could be an interaction that you had with someone that you care about, or even with a stranger. It could be that a parking spot opened right when you needed it because you're in a rush. And that parking spot might be really exciting and we're like, oh, thank goodness. But then we just rush past it and continue on without really acknowledging that can be a moment of gratitude for us. And so I want to talk about creating gratitude practices to help us recognize and acknowledge these moments of gratitude. Because if we have them, but we're not acknowledging them, it's not going to do us much good in our creative practice or in any other facet of our life. What does your gratitude practice look like? Or what do you want it to look like? As you're thinking about this, I want to read you a quote by Ianla Van Zandt, who said, "We think we have to do something to be grateful, or something has to be done in order for us to be grateful, when gratitude is a state of being." There are actions that we can do to get us into that state of being. Gratitude journaling is a wonderful suggestion. It is so helpful to not only see it written down, but to take the time to physically list things out like that can be a really tangible way to get us into that state of being. But writing a gratitude journal in and of itself is not what makes us grateful. It's the process of being in that moment in order to be able to write what we're grateful for. That's what is purposeful. And that's what has the impact. Something that we do in my family is every night before bed, we each go down the line. We talk about what went well. 3 things that we are grateful for from that day. They vary from day to day. Sometimes there are so many things. We did this and that was awesome, and this was awesome, and this was awesome, and I loved being with you, and I loved doing this thing, and yeah, it was so great. And other times it's, I'm grateful today is over. And sometimes it's more personal. I'm grateful that I had a good cry. Neurologically, because we as human beings are wired for connection, being able to share what we are grateful for with someone else and then have them reciprocate is a very bonding thing, both for our synapses and for our emotions. Everything connected with being human. Remembering what we are grateful for each day also helps make those things more real physically in our bodies. If you think about stress and how stress physically builds up in our body, it is a real tangible thing that our body holds. And that's not a very fun thing to hold. Our body does the exact same thing for gratitude. When we take time to think about, where was I and who was I with and what did it smell like and what did I feel like and what was I touching, and all of the different senses, and just really soak in. Our body holds that also, and it holds that joy. That spreads to all the other areas of our life and of our living because it is physically within us. And I just think that's so cool. It is so hopeful for me to think about how stress isn't the only thing that my body can hold on to for me. It's doing the best it can. It is trying to help me survive, and I really appreciate that about my body. But I love that my body can also hold my joys and the things that I'm excited about just as easily as my stress. Often, not always, but often, I'm the one who gets to choose what my body is holding at that time based off of what I focus on. What we focus on expands in our life. If I'm focusing on the stress, all I will see is the stress. It will expand and grow until it covers my entire lens of perception. But if I practice on focusing on the gratitude will expand and be able to cover everything else that I do. That does not mean terrible things won't come through or that we won't notice the reality of things that are happening around us. What it does is it helps us view these harder things with hope because we know our gratitude has been there. And there will be something else to be grateful for after this hard thing, or maybe during this hard thing. It's never hopeless. It's all about your focus. And when I say that we need to be able to revel and remember all of those things, it doesn't have to take hours and hours and hours. If you have that, fantastic. Have so much fun. But we can do it with just a quick breath. Let's take the parking spot example again, because I've done this many times. The parking spot opens. Yes, I'm in such a rush. I park the car. I put it into park, I turn the car off, and then I pause. And I breathe. And I just give thanks. Really sit in the fact that this was something that I needed, and I'm grateful that it came to me in this moment. You can do the same thing with a hug. Really just breathe it in and just notice this hug is what I needed. This is a wonderful hug. I'm so happy I can have it right now. As you exhale, notice, purposefully acknowledge what is happening and why it matters and is meaningful to you. And then you can go on rushing into the store, but you've had that moment. When you come back to it, there will be more to remember. It won't just be a fleeting memory. There will be a feeling that goes with it, a physicality to that moment in time. All of this helps us with our creativity because we can't create unless we're connecting the dots of our lived experiences. Also, gratitude helps us to know ourselves better. Being able to be in an act of creation is so much easier when we are recognizing and living with our whole selves instead of just parts and pieces. Gratitude helps integrate all of those experiences and all of the parts of who we are into one being that can then go and create and change the world around them. Neil Donald Walsh said, "Gratitude in advance is the most powerful creative force in the universe. Expressing thankfulness in advance is the way of all masters." I believe that the more grateful we are, the more power we are able to access to create. We have an eternal wellspring of creativity, but whether we access it in a trickle, one drop at a time, or in a torrential flow is dependent on the context of how we are trying to access it. Gratitude is one way that turns the pressure up on high and allows us to just be showered and completely covered by the power we have to create. I believe that there is always gratitude to be found. Sometimes you have to look really hard for it, and sometimes it takes practice to find it and to see it and to bask within it. But the more we do that, the easier it is to have a gratitude-filled life. Your life is beautiful, and what you can create because of that life is beautiful. Gratitude is not flimsy, it is solid. And that is something that we can always stand on. Thank you so much for listening. I'm excited to talk to you again soon, and until then, stay creative. Here in this moment with human needs and growing dreams, there's so much out there in the world. Commercials and billboards are telling you just what to do and asking who you think you are. Which voice will you listen to?